Yo, what's going on YouTube? I got another update for you guys for the Fedor situation in Strikeforce. Today is August 13, 2010, and it was just reported today. It looks like apparently Fedor going for parliament, or running for parliament in Russia, was not entirely a rumor, but he might be. But it looks like he's still going to be fighting too. So he's not going to retire just yet, as far as it was looking. With no talks of his contract being re-signed and re-put through with M1 and Strikeforce. However, it was announced today that Fedor is going to be signing a new 4 to 6 fight deal. Sorry to all the UFC fans, because it looks like Fedor will still not be fighting in the UFC. The contract is with M1 and with Strikeforce, 4 to 6 fights. And it looks like the global representative for M1 Global, Kogan, said that the deal is about 2/3 of the way done. So pretty much they're already working on it. They're already getting everything finished up here. And it looks like Fedor's going to re-sign with Strikeforce for another 4 to 6 fights. So he will be fighting, continuing in the next few years. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be pissed about this, and they're going to say a lot of things about, oh, Fedor, still doesn't want to fight the best. He's not going to sign with the UFC, this, that, and the other thing. Realistically, when it comes down to it, the reason why Fedor is signing with M1 and is signing with Strikeforce is because with them, Fedor is the highest paid mixed martial artist on the planet, by far. He's higher paid than Brock Lesnar. He's higher paid than anybody else, any of the other MMA fighters. Fedor is the highest paid. So, for people to say, oh, he's afraid of UFC, this, that, and the other thing, he's not. Fedor is not afraid. And his management, at the same time, they are running a business, okay? And they have to go with whatever comes on as the best. The UFC has been, throughout the years, a lot of fighters have reported that the UFC is not the best place to be as far as pay goes. The UFC basically tries to entice fighters by saying that they will have long-term stability as a fighter in an organization that has been around a long time and is the biggest MMA organization in the world. They try to point out things like Affliction and saying how Affliction went under and that kind of stuff. They're paying all their fighters a ton of money, but the UFC can offer long-term stability, and that's true. But at the same time, a lot of times they don't pay as much as the other organizations do. For example, BJ Penn wrote in his book that when he was contemplating re-signing with the UFC just wouldn't pay him that much. The UFC was lowballing him, so BJ decided to go overseas in Japan, fight in Japan for a couple years, and make 5 to 10 times as much. Of course, he came back when the Japanese MMA organizations like Pride and started going under. BJ came back to the States and started fighting again in the UFC. But this is not a new thing. This has been reported for years, and many of you know, if you look at the pay scale for the UFC fighters, it's not great. Many of the fighters, even the highest fighters, might make a couple $100,000 a fight. But if you think about it, if you're one of the highest, like one of the biggest fighters, you look at Brock Lesnar and the money that he brings in from pay-per-views and stuff. Now his situation is a little bit different, but generally speaking, the UFC doesn't really pay the fighters that much compared to what the fighters bring in. The UFC keeps most of the money for themselves, versus Affliction, where they paid the fighters a lot and gave the fighters big cuts of what they were making. The UFC doesn't do that. So it looks like Fedor is probably going to re-sign. He's probably got each fight, you could imagine he'd be making close to $1 million or more each fight, each time he fights for Strikeforce. Of course, we'll never know the exact details of the contracts because all that's confidential and that kind of stuff, so we don't know exactly how much he's making, but we can tell that he's making more than anybody else pretty much. Probably Brock Lesnar is a close second to Fedor in terms of dollars. So anyway, just thought you guys would be interested to hear what's going to happen with Fedor. Looks like his next fight is going to be sometime before Christmas, probably October, November-ish, and Verdum's going to be out till early 2011, so we're not going to see Verdum for a while. Fedor's not going to wait for him to return. Looks like he's going to be fighting someone else in the meantime. They're going to announce that in September who he's fighting. I'm assuming it's probably going to be Bigfoot Silva. It could be Overeem, but I doubt it. It could also be, there's some other heavyweights they got too. Coker's been throwing around the name Sergey, I'm going to butcher this, but Katarov, the Russian guy from Pride. He was a good fighter too. So you can look into his background too. He's a good fighter, good heavyweight fighter. Been around for a while too. So there are other heavyweights for him to fight. I'd say if I had to bet money on it, it's probably going to be I think it's probably going to be Bigfoot Silva that Fedor fights next. But anyway, just thought you guys would like to hear an update on Fedor and what's going on with the situation. So hopefully, Fedor's going to make something out of this and remain to be one of the top heavyweights in the world. Hopefully, he doesn't slip too much and lose many more of his next fights in the next couple of years. All right, see you guys. Try it out. Peace.